Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Wednesday's Shop Talk, all things landlord in Alberta. I'm with Chris Noble to my virtual right, and on the left, I'm MacKenzie Wilson. So, Chris, how you doing, bud?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be a fun show tonight. I always enjoy when we get to hear what people are doing in the industry to make the rental industry better for everyone. And we got a pair of brothers who've come together, and it's called Yaldi Renting, and they've got this really neat partnership idea to really benefit both the tenant and the landlord. And I think it'll be particularly good for landlords that are remotely managing properties. And I know you don't even know anything about it other than the 5 minutes ago when you got introduced to them, because I don't tell
Yeah.
you anything.
Yeah, you kept it a secret, but there are a couple characters, I'll tell you that, because I couldn't understand a damn word they're saying because they're both from Scotland. So we'll see if you guys can decipher what they have to say. So
It will be good, though. It'll be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, and you know what? Let's segue. We got some questions queued up. I grabbed off the page. There's an interesting one that we'll tackle as well. And I'm going to do a bit of a 2-minute preview when we come back from the introduction on Mighty Networks and talk about a mastermind that I have getting close to being filled. I've got some committed folks. I think one of them's watching right now, so it'll be good. So cue it up.
we'll see you guys shortly. Go grab a drink. You got about 45 seconds to mix it up, and we'll see you in a minute.
All right.
There
Okay.
you go.
Before we get this going live with these two lovely gentlemen, I'm going to do another sneak peek. So it brought to my attention that the tech could be a little daunting. So I wanted to do a quick show and tell. We'll do these all through our shop talks, a super quick 2-minute one. So folks, we've been talking about for some time. We're over here on Alberta Landlord Community.ca. It's on Mighty Networks is the platform that we're using. But we have an opportunity, folks, and this is going to be an opportunity for you guys to hold my feet to the fire when I start planning our shows out in advance. But you can go into an event. So I just clicked over here on the events on the left-hand side. It says we're live right now because, in fact, we are on Shop Talk. If I go and grab a future show, so we'll click on View Event. You guys have the options to add the events that you want to go attend or watch to your calendar directly without having to create it. So I click Add a Calendar. And you can pick the platform of your choice, whether you use Apple, Google, or Outlook, and have it synced right in. Or you go right in the bottom and add in a public calendar, so you can stay up to date on all of our future events. So there's your 2-minute or less snippet on our private network called Alberta Landlord Community.ca. So perfect. Thanks for tagging along on that. I'll segue into our next thing. I have a mastermind that I am kicking off the ground here. I have got 2 folks confirmed. In fact, I'll be sending an email out tonight to those folks I've already talked to about who are interested. There's about 2 spots left. It's all about a peer-driven group. It's about supporting each other, pushing each other further to our goals. We have a bit of a code of ethics and that we review at the beginning of the mastermind to get people on topic and get focused and set expectations. And then after that, you bring your challenges of being a landlord or investor to the conversation, and we help each other out and push each other forward, and we hold each other accountable to our goals. And there's a bit of an accountability factor as well. So if you are interested, reach out directly to me. It is by invite only, so I am putting like-minded folks together. So it is some people that you've started down the real estate investing game, and you're looking to continually grow, and you need that extra push. This might be the conversation for you. So that's it. Reach out to me. So
Nice.
Yeah,
Let's
that
bring our
was
two
quick.
fellas in here. Have a chat. Who are they? They already got a fan. Check this out, Mac.
Love it. Love the Scotty accent. Perfect. Yeah. So gentlemen, I'll let you guys do a quick introduction. I know we've got Scott and Mike. I'll let you guys identify who's who. And you guys are doing this thing called Yaldi Renting. I think it's really cool. We've actually had conversations going back, I think, over a year. And I really appreciate your guys' effort to keep on tweaking the business plan, the offering, to I think you've really got something that will definitely benefit landlords, and hence why we've got you guys on the show. So Scott and Mike, I'll let you guys take it away, do a quick introduction and why you guys are here.
Absolutely, MacKenzie. Thanks very much. Thanks for having us on the show. Pleasure to be here. Hey, Chris. Yeah, that's what we love about the Alberta community here on the page. We ask questions all the time, do polls, and the ALC's helped us tweak our model over the year, so it's been super handy. I'm Scott, by the way. This is Mike.
Yep, so I'm Mike. I'm the better-looking brother of the two co-founders. And just to give a bit of background, we've been over here 8 years, bought a couple of properties 7 years ago, and I've been managing them since. I thought the system could be tweaked in a better way. There could be a better way of doing it and with more win-win. So yeah, so as a result of that, we've come up with Yaldi Renting, which is a win-win system for landlords and their renters. And in a nutshell, we help renters help their landlords by completing detailed inspections. And then, well, that includes kind of move in, move out, as well as regular maintenance checks of the property. Then as a reward to the renter for helping their landlord and paying rent on time, they get two things. So the first one is their credit score gets increased with every successful rent payment. And the second is that they get entered into a Yaldi lottery, which is a 1 in 33 chance of winning $1,000. So yeah, so it's a win-win both sides. Yeah, hopefully everyone's happy. That's the goal.
Okay. What does the landlord have to pay? Is there a cost to this, or how does this work for the landlord?
Yeah, so the landlord is the one who foots the bill, but fortunately it's very cheap. So it's $12.50 per month, and $7.50 of that goes to the tenant lottery fund, and then we get $5 of it.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna do a quick recap. So you guys have this partnership together. I can basically sign up, get my tenants to sign up, and if my tenant will go through and do is it like a PDF report? Is it pictures? Do they have to write stuff down? Is it pigeon mail? What does that look like for us? Like, what do I get as a landlord?
Yeah, it's all app based. So you want to sign up, you ask your tenant if they want to sign up. They do. They get sent a link at the time of the inspection report. They get sent a link to basically download the app, and they get walked through step by step of every room in the house and every surface in the room to take a picture of it, record any damages. And then at the end of it, once it's complete, it takes about kind of half an hour to 40 minutes. And then at the end, the landlord gets sent a PDF copy of the report with all the pictures and everything in there.
Okay.
Real advantage comes to the long distance owners, and landlords out of we've had some on our page that are out of the eastern portion of Canada and on the coast. I know there's somebody out of Halifax on our page. We also have a lot of Ontario landlords coming out, so this makes for good business for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have landlords in the East Coast too. One of them is in California too, and manages his property in East Village from California, which is interesting.
It was funny that you said that, yeah, because you said that without us even telling you that most of our customers are landlords from out of town. So,
Well, yeah. It makes a lot of sense because you guys can give a lot of confidence to someone who can't see the property. Like, well, Chris can throw a baseball and break a window in his property from his front yard. I'm a 20-minute drive across town with no rush hour. If it's rush hour, I'm a good hour, 45 minutes. And the fact I got a busy life with 2 kids and doing this community thing on the side and a day job and all that, there's actually an appeal factor for the cost to go. Like, if I was just to go and pay someone to go do an inspection for me, I'm probably looking at $50 or $100 to get someone to do that. And hopefully, if we've discussed my expectations correctly up front, they do it exactly how I want it by taking the pictures and documentation. So if you guys got a framework for that report that's already put together, it's pretty foolproof. It's kind of like I just go and load up an app. I click start and it tells me, okay, walk to the kitchen, take a picture. rate the condition good, fair, poor, or needs repair,
Yeah.
kind of so on. Is it kind of almost that level of foolproof for the tenant to walk through and
Yeah.
run through that reporting for you guys?
Yeah, it's completely foolproof like that. So we're essentially the orchestrating all of it so that the landlord does as little as possible. Where you essentially tell us your tenant's email address, name, the details of the property and the layout, and then that's it pretty much.
Yeah, and it's also even more detailed than that. It's check every drawer in the kitchen. So we've had instances where the tenant tests the drawer and realizes one of the runners off that the landlord didn't even know about. So then they're happy to learn about it, and they send someone out to fix it. The tenant's happy, knows everything's set before they move in.
Okay. We got a question here. If we want to take a Chris, who's asking this question?
That's
The
from
Facebook
Trish.
user.
Trish.
Oh, from Trish. Okay. So is the price per property or per door or for all properties? Yeah, that's a great question. So I know it's driven around this model of collecting this inspection for the landlord. So give us context on that pricing that you guys talked about.
Yeah, so yeah, just simple as that. It's per unit. So because it's $7.50 of it is going to the tenant's lottery fund for that specific tenant, it is per unit.
Okay. And is this a monthly price or is this for every time they do the inspection report?
Yeah, so it's a monthly price, but it gets billed out after they have completed the inspection.
Every 4 months.
Yeah, every 4 months.
Okay. Okay. So if we do this every 4 months, $12.50, that's $24.48. So about $50 per inspection if I'm running my numbers right. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and again, to get someone to go to a house, unless you've got a friend or a relative, like a family connection, just to hire someone off the street, I don't think you'll be able to do it that cheap, or that would be the bare minimum anyways. So
That's exactly the point. Yeah.
and yeah, this one they can kind of do it at their own time. Yeah, so it is something. It's kind of really interesting. If someone brings a bunch of doors to you guys, do you guys look at different kind of volume discounts? Is that something that's on the table with you guys?
Yeah, depending on the size, yeah, we could look at it, but to be honest, we are quite tight margined as it is. So yeah, but yeah, we would entertain it.
Yeah, it's basically the more doors, the more lottery winners you get. So that's kind of how it works.
Okay, cool.
And I got a question there.
Yeah, what was that?
How do you take care of the maintenance by the tenants? Yeah. Yeah, it's so it depends. It's a tough maintenance side of it where you want it to try to incentivize the tenant to do as much as possible. That's kind of the whole gist behind the system. It's more the tenant education side too. We kind of help them educate on how to do basic maintenance. So whatever they're comfortable with and whatever the landlord's comfortable with, that's kind of how far they take the maintenance. But we also have, well, for instance, we have a maintenance kit that we give whenever renters are onboarded, and it has drywall mud. So they're meant to basically repair any damage they do, which is walls is the most usually damaged. They're meant to patch any drywall holes, and we also get the landlord to have a paint match too, so the tenant has a match of the paint color of the unit, so they can technically repair any damage that they would cause before moving.
It just creates a lot less friction. And in addition to that, the move-out related stuff in the maintenance kit, there's also the drain cleaner, green goblin and stuff, just so that the landlords are just getting a lot less kind of trivial calls. My drain's not going down, my shower, my bath is starting to pool a little bit. Then you just say, take the green goblin, turn it down.
Okay, that's interesting. I have allowed in the past, and I do once I know what would be the right word, the abilities of the skills of doing repairs by my tenant. I would, if I know that they're a proven entity and they can do what they like, if they can paint or something like that, I will allow that repair. But I don't allow that with new tenants until I have a trust factor built with them, and again, knowing that they're competent in the repair. So it's interesting you guys are providing those tools. Do you guys have I guess what I'm trying to ask here is there experience or what's been the results of providing this kind of material to your tenants? Like, has landlords had proper repairs done, or have you guys found out that some tenants aren't good at doing repairs? What do those numbers look like, or from the numbers or the tenants that you've run so far through the system?
No, it's worked really well. Yeah, especially just the Green Goblin and exactly, the drywall repair, because it's so easy now where you can say, go watch this 5-minute YouTube video if you're unsure. And it's pretty hard to, with how easy they make the kits now. So it has gone pretty swimmingly. And if the landlord isn't confident that they're going to do do a good job painting, then they'll just say, do the drywall repair and we'll paint.
And it's up to the landlord, because it's $50 per kit. So if the landlord wants the tenant to get the kit and get all the drywall repair and the drain cleaner, then the landlord pays for it and he's happy to have it. If he lives away in California, he's like, yeah, get him to do everything. But like you're saying, someone like you is like, no, I live on the corner. I'd rather do it myself. Then it's up to you. It's totally flexible.
Okay, no, that's good to know. I know, Mr. Chris Noble up in the top left there is a very proud sweat equity type of landlord. So I feel like it's great that you guys have that option. You can split it either way. Let's take another question. You guys talk about how you help out tenants with their credit score building, and Marv's, well, you're already on it too, Chris. We're double clicking it here. How is a renter's credit score benefited? So how do you guys help out the tenant's credit score?
So that's over the 4-month period between the maintenance checks. The rent is applied to the Landlord Credit Bureau, who we partner with, who Mark knows. So yeah, it's built up through Landlord Credit Bureau, and the tenants, they love that. Yeah, they absolutely love the credit building aspect.
Yeah, and as Marvin knows better than anyone here. So the way it works for the tenant's credit score is that it's assumed that the rent is always paid on time, and it basically goes swimmingly unless you, the landlord, have an issue. So it's not like there'd be any kind of misunderstanding and bounce or forgetting. So it's pretty much all in the landlord's hand.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And for the folks that don't know who Marv is, I've had the pleasure to connect with him, and so is Chris. He was kind of the brains behind what is now Front Lobby, who's been taken over by his business partner. But they've given us the teeth to be able to affect credit scores for both good or bad, which I think is a great filter tool on the front with your due diligence if you guys use it in your screening process. But also we can affect a tenant's, especially a delinquent tenant's credit score by reporting a trade line. So very powerful product, but something else to watch out for. We got another great question. So gentlemen, we're going to keep you busy here taking these questions, and Chris is all over it. How does the lottery process work? What kind of legal concern any level of authority has issue with it? Well, walk us through how the actual, like if I'm a tenant and I've gone through and I've done my inspection for you guys, do I get an email saying I've been submitted in, or do I get multiple entries if I do a bunch of different inspections over the year? How does it look like for you guys?
Yeah, so just so that tenants can be onboarded at different stages. So the lottery or the maintenance check is due every February, at the end of every February, June, and October. So the tenant has the month, we send a reminder saying you have to do the maintenance check this month. They do that, and as a result, they get one ticket. Well, depending on when they were onboarded, they get one ticket. So if they're onboarded the month, so say in January, they would only get one ticket. Whereas if they got onboarded in March and they paid rent on time all the 4 months, did the successful maintenance check, then for the June lottery, then they would have 4 tickets.
Okay.
And there's no because there's no basically how it works legally is it's a separate contract signed by the landlord and the tenant, and as long as the tenant meets their demands of the contract, paid rent on time the previous 4 months, and did their maintenance check on time, then the landlord's held to their bargain to pay for it to have them entered into the lottery.
Okay, good. And you guys mentioned something I want to just go back and highlight, or just make sure I understand. If the tenant's not upholding their bargain, let's say rent was either not paid on time or they didn't do the inspection, are we still paying for the service?
No. That's kind of the beauty of it, because it's if you sign on to it, and if your tenant doesn't do it, there's nothing nothing that comes of it. Doesn't
Okay,
do the maintenance check, that is, yeah.
that's fantastic. Awesome. So another question, Chris, you want to read this one out because you haven't said anything yet?
Is there any problem with Alberta gaming? Any regulation issues there?
No, it's because of the way in which we've phrased it in our terms and conditions. So we call it a reward as a result. So the tenant gets rewarded. It's not like, yeah, legally theirs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Oh, it's something super interesting, guys. I just signed up today, so I'm gonna try it out, and I'll report back here. I guess next quarter or the quarter after, and I'll let you guys know how it goes, and I'll share with the community. But if I can save a drive across the city and perhaps keep an evening free to hang out with my kids, for a few dollars a month or for $10 or $12 a month, that's something I'm certainly interested in. So pretty cool. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that is worth noting with you guys with the program that you're offering?
Basically covered it. Yeah, that's
Cool.
so. Yeah, looking forward to MacKenzie. Yeah,
So yeah,
excited.
if anyone has any questions, listens to it, just come and let us know. Send us an email. We'll happily call. We'll have a chat.
Yeah.
We should, if you guys want, can I throw you guys in the chat here, private chat? No, I can't do that. In the private chat, send me how people can get signed up, your website, some contact information. Type that in now. I'll throw up on the screen for you guys as we keep on talking here. And I know we asked you guys in the backstage, but do you want to hang around and tackle some dirty and nitty gritty landlording questions off of the page with us?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's been my dream for almost a year now to be on the shop talk, so I'm not going to cut it short. I'm not going to wake up yet.
All right.
Don't want to get anyone's hopes up. We are not as well informed about the down and dirty issues as Chris is. We can tell you that because we'll be coming to him for the obscure issues that we deal with. So.
Well, you'll be our first scarce opinion, so we'll take it.
Yeah.
How many properties are you guys managing? How many doors you got?
We've got two. Yeah, we were building our portfolio the last 7 years, and then when we were in our 20s, and then stopped to do the startup, and that was a couple of years ago.
Cool.
That was our focus. Yeah.
Give me a war story. Let's hear one of your worst war stories is.
It was
Honestly,
this kind of how we got into it because we bought the properties and then lived in them for a year and then moved out and rented them out. So we were in our early 20s. It was like a frat house, and we treated our properties worse than our tenants did. That's kind of what happened. Our tenants moved in. And they like treated amazing. Like we're fixing dishwasher. We were like, we should be rewarding you for this somehow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we came around with it. But
yeah, we have got very lucky. We don't have any war stories yet. But before that, we had a few coming in for 9 months here and there, but it was all not too bad.
not too bad.
Good.
Yeah.
Chris throwing them on the spot there. Good answers, guys. And hey, that's how a business is born when you guys see an opportunity. So
you guys were kind of like a landlord's worst nightmare if you ever rented off of anybody, weren't you?
No. We have respect for other people's property, just not our own. Okay,
This is coming from Braveheart over there. But all right, so let's get to it here. I think this question will be really interesting. I haven't quite seen it before, but Heather wrote, actually just today, if a tenant follows a realtor around and attempts to sabotage the showings, is that ground for eviction? And this is, I've never actually quite seen this before. So, let's ask our newly minted Shop Talk co-hosts here, Mike and Scott. What do you guys think if this was happening to you guys?
If that was me, I would just evict him for being a twat. But I don't think I wouldn't follow the court rules, would it?
I think we're still PG here. I'm not quite sure if we can say that word on this live show, but okay.
It's legal in Scotland, so it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris,
what's your take
it's a
on
cultural
this?
thing. Hey, my spin off of this is there's that one little magic section that says interfering with the rights of a landlord. And my view on that is if you got a tenant that's continually sabotaging you and you're trying to sell a place and maybe you even lost a sale on that, you may want to talk to a lawyer as to whether you may have some civil remedy there to sue them. But at the very least, I would file with the RTDRS, and I would go and ask for a conditional order. And that conditional order could simply be, after you lay it all out, I would bring a statement in from the landlord, or sorry, the realtor, who was involved with that, and I would say, you know, what can get them in as a witness and present this to the hearing officer, and get a conditional order. And that order can simply read as, after 24 hours notice, you must leave the residence because of your behavior, and you'll be out of the residence during the specified time. So if the realtor said, I'll be there at 1, we need it from 1 till 2, the court order says you will leave. And if they don't want to leave, then that battle starts, and the next thing you know is you have a bailiff involved, and they can just be evicted. Use the system that's in place to help you. People don't realize a lot of times that conditional orders can help you. And people don't even know what that is. So simply put, the condition is you will be out of the house during the time of the showing because of your behavior. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, it's I don't know if someone's gone down the RTDRS with a thing like that. Not that I've known of, anyways, with the case. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. But perhaps even scaring them with the paperwork and showing that you're serious would set the tone pretty quickly if they're trying to sabotage a sale of your property. And the other thing too is, I think you raised a good point, Chris, is, you know, if this sale is worth X amount of dollars and you're able to take some profits away, and they're getting in the way and potentially costing you money, for $75 in a bit of time, it might be worth going down this process to make sure that sale goes through.
You know what?
Get those viewings in.
We talk about it on the page lots, where people are running their business with their hearts, and sometimes you're not following the RTDRS. You're changing the rules ever so the Residential Tenancy Act, but then you're changing the rules ever so slightly to be accommodating because you're trying to be a nice person. And then in the end, you turn around and get bit in the butt by a tenant who just plays a nasty card. At that point, everything's by the book. Everything's in writing. Everything's served. You don't send emails. Don't even ask, is it okay to send an email? Is it okay to send a text? Everything is in writing at that point, and just play it properly. And if you need some help putting this together, you can get a hold of me. You can get a hold of Rob Bonin or Don Gray. We can get these put together. I know that Gord Heisler with Casa Capital, he's another member of this page. They quite often will use conditional orders. They go to court and make themselves, to make themselves look like the good guy, not the big bad landlord. Here's all we're asking for, and this is all we want the tenant to do, and this is what the tenant is doing to prevent this. So we're asking for this condition to be put in place while this is trying to transpire. I know I'm kind of vague, but just fill in the blanks for your needs. And quite often, talking to his son, Brian, he's very successful in getting conditional orders because you're not a bad guy. You're just asking for something to be done. And if they don't want to play by the rules, they may find themselves looking for a new home.
Cool. Insightful. I like it. All right. Well, let's pivot off that one and go to the next one.
Or you want to talk about your .com here?
Oh, yeah. So here's Scott and Mike's information, folks. So if you guys are interested, go over, check out the service, go over to the website. You can email Scott directly. He's the guy's email up there. So thanks, gentlemen, for providing that. And I did ask him behind the scenes, too. They're going to throw a page up on my networks, on our private network over there. So, gentlemen, write a little bit of an article or a bit of a story. And, let's see if we can get some traction with you guys. And I always love if we can add more value to the industry and solve a few more problems. So, appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, MacKenzie.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get another question. Lisa had asked this. Let me just click and do this. Maybe I'll do this. Yeah, I'll do that instead.
Can we just hang on a sec, Mac? I just want to
yeah.
answer. Marv's question spins off what we just talked about. He says, other than following the realtor around, what else are they doing? I think, Marv, if I remember right in talking to Heather and some of the others, what they were doing was interfering, talking about poor conditions, poor living conditions, just making stuff up, basically, and poking a bear, if you will, for no particular reason. And in fact, I went to look at a house one time for a purchase, and the renter did actually follow us around and felt that they needed to put their 2 cents in as to what the house was about. But being a landlord myself, I can make my own decisions, but I found them quite annoying, and I could easily see through it. But I don't know. There must have been a bad relationship between the landlord and that renter to cause the renter to try to sabotage the purchase. Go ahead, Matt.
interesting.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Informative. All right. So Lisa's question, I'm just going to sum it up instead of reading it for word here. She's approached, they have a 2-bedroom apartment in a condo complex with a condo board. She's approached by her tenant to ask if they can add a cat into the rental. And the landlord says, yes, you can have a pet. A landlord assumes the tenant wants to have a cat, and the landlord's okay with this. 1 month later, they find out it's not a cat, but it's a full-grown German Shepherd in the apartment. Property management does not allow large breed dogs and has to give notice to the tenant to resolve the situation. Tenant wants to keep the dog. Tenant wants to keep the dog, so the landlord now has basically asked them to leave, and they have to break the lease. So the question is the tenant still responsible for the remaining part of the lease until the end of June? I'll word this a little bit better in the sense that is the landlord still on hook for is the tenant still on the hook for the rent until the landlord, while making reasonable efforts, can find a new renter? Gentlemen, I'll throw this question to you. Actually, you know what? I'll go Chris first, then I'll throw it to our Scottish interpreters. So.
You want to put the question back up, Matt? Because I want to read it as I answer it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
there you go.
It says, so the key thing here is 2 months ago, the tenant says, my mom has a cat and my son loves a cat. Can we have a pet in the apartment? So there's an assumption in that to believe that they want a cat. And I think that in fairness to the landlord, it's fair to believe that there's a cat going to be brought in. The landlord says, yes, you can have a pet. And again, working off that conversation, but it comes down to proving, was that the actual conversation? It's one person versus another. Then they turn around and they bring a dog in, and now is the tenant aware that no large breeds are allowed in the building? Was that discussed as per the it's condos, right, Mac?
Yeah, it's a condo board. Yeah, that's right.
So as per the condo bylaws, is the tenant aware of what the bylaws are? And you as a landlord, did you provide a copy with your lease as to what condo bylaws are? And if you did provide it, then you know what? They're contrary to it. It's like driving down the highway. If you say, well, I didn't know what the speed limit was, and you're doing 150 down the highway, well, it's your responsibility to know what the laws are. And if you've provided a copy of the lease and a copy of the bylaws in the lease, then it's their responsibility. So my answer is yes, they would be responsible, and yes, they have to leave. However,
the tenant is responsible, is what you're saying, Chris?
Yeah, they will be responsible, and yes, they'll have to leave, or the dog has to go. So again, we don't have enough information, or we haven't had it before. A judge or a hearing officer to weigh it out as to who is
TDO.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Gentlemen, what would you guys do in this situation?
Yeah, we've dealt with condo boards on pets before. That was our first property we bought, was a condo. We moved in and adopted a dog that was over their size limit and their breed specifications. So we basically said we have to get rid of the dog, so we have to move out. And they don't budge, so it's definitely. I'm just wondering if from the property managers who manage the condo board, that would supersede the individual landlord tenancy, right? So the property managers say it's against the rules, you need to get out, regardless of what the tenant and landlord had said. That would be my question.
Yeah, no, you're right there. There's an order of operations, and also another factor here too is there's a few different legislations at play here. So leases and long-term rentals are all governed under the RTA, the Residential Tenancies Act. Mm-hmm. There's also is it called the Condominium Act? Or it's called the Condo Board. There's another act specifically for condos that govern them. which is what the tenant or the condo bylaws are built in underneath. And I believe those go first. I mean, this is a good question we need to clarify, but those would supersede in this situation because it's specific bylaws being broken in that building or complex.
Yeah, I guess the question was that, but then who's liable for the lease, right? Because the landlord would be liable because he said you can have a pet when the condo board said you can't. So, yeah, I think that was what Chris said.
We need the original poster on this show so we can dive in the details and get some clarity and probably get to some answers. But yeah, it's kind of tough to say. There's a few ways this could play out for sure.
But you know what? In the end, if you are renting your place out in a condo association, you know what? Have a copy of the rules, attach it to your lease, and you're covered. Saying anything, even though we may agree to something. If I've missed it, at the end of the day, here's your trump card in saying, if I've said something wrong, just know that this could happen. So they need to be, you know what? Just a CYA, provide it. It's the simplest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys kind of nailed up my two questions quicker. I thought we'd have I have no content right now. Where do we want to take this, Chris?
Well, look at this. It says, Lisa says, I'm here. Thank you for answering my question.
So Lisa, if you want to give us some context, we'll just talk about something really important in the meantime while you type in there, but we'd love to get a little bit more information on this situation because we'd like to properly answer it for you and provide some wisdom that we have if we have it correctly. So if you don't mind diving in there, we'll yeah. And that's what Marv was saying, and that's what we talked about, that Strata Console makes the rules.
Can I just give a shout out to Marv there, one of the OG prop tech innovators from MacKenzie, and we got generations of prop tech innovators here. So we're honored to be answering your question, Marv.
I can tell you a story how I met Marv. It was at a RAIN meeting in circa 2017. I came up to him after he gave me his business card, and I asked him about Neighborly, and he's like, Neighborly, that's a silly company. I'm sure I left a great impression. And then I called him out of the blue like 2.5 or 3 years later, being like, hey, so I have this community. We would like a discount for your product. Do you want to do that? And sure enough, after a few conversations, I got connected with the right people, and we have a Landlord Credit Bureau helping out the page and front lobby. So,
well, we owe you the thanks for that too, that MacKenzie. Yeah, it goes down the spider web effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Well, I was a little slow in the reply, but I'm glad you guys got connected. So good.
Mac, do you have more questions teed up, or do you want me to grab?
I don't. I kind of thought this conversation. Usually we talk a lot, so I was like, oh, I'll just put this.
Okay. One I remember specifically from the page. I can't find it, but I'm going to read it out. I'm just going to remember from memory. Okay, so we have someone who wants to sell their place, and we have a tenant in there that says, they say, we're going to give you notice because we're going to sell the place. And they said, no, my lease isn't up until the end of, for argument's sake, May. So no, you can't show the place for sale while we're here. And then they said, furthermore, I'm not a well person, so I don't want to be disturbed. And you know what? I'm just going to say it, is there was a little bit of a cultural card played in that I will talk to my band office to see what their opinion is on. That's all on the post, actually. So now the landlord says, well, what do I do now? She's not going to let me into my place, so I can show the house to a potential buyer. And what happens if they do sell it? How do I get them out? Do I give them 90 days notice? But the people are on a lease. So there's a multiple.
What type of lease is it, Chris? Month or?
No, a full
fixed.
The lease ended at the end of May. So.
Oh, okay.
It was up at the end of May. So over to Mike and Scott. Rather than me going first all the time and my very abrupt, matter-of-fact way of dealing with things, what are your guys' thoughts on that scenario?
Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure.
That's fair. So Chris, I want to recap so I understand your paraphrasing here. We have a landlord wanting to sell a property. Yes. Lease is up at the end of May.
Yes.
The landlord is not allowed to show the property with the realtor for selling. They can't get showings done. because of the tenant is basically saying no. The tenant could be, First Nations here or it's Indigenous, and they're saying that they have to go talk to their band. So they're trying to bring in other jurisdiction here. So is the house? I assume the house is within the city or something, right?
Yeah, it's out. Yes, it's outside of the banned territories. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So if that's the case, it's the tenant is unfortunately interfering with the landlord's right to manage and run the property, and they have access through a 24-hour notice for any variety of reasons, including selling the property. They can file with the RTDRS and file breach.
So you guys have got it. There is, again, it goes back to that other, it's a similar scenario to what we've already addressed here tonight, is again, the tenant is trying to power play and tell the, I'll use a Gord Heisler expression, it's a tail wagging the dog, and that's not how things work. It's time for the dog to start wagging the tail again, and the rule is 24 hours notice to show the place. If they're not happy with that, and they're going to cause you grief, then immediately you should be filing with the RTDRS, and you go and get a conditional order. And within that order, you're going to ask what's going to make it so that you can show your place, and what's going to make it good. And again, get a hold of myself, Rob or Don, and we'll help you with those orders. So,
Like it?
makes sense to you guys, Mike, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You haven't had to deal with that stuff, eh?
No, not
No.
no. Unfortunately, I think it's-
You're going to have to follow our page for some of the stories that are on here, man.
Oh, I have been following it for it feels like years now. So I've read a lot of them. It's interesting. Yeah. I got a question for you guys. Actually, would be
Sure.
what would you feel comfortable having your tenants do in terms of inspections? So changing the furnace filter, turning off the water in autumn before winter. How would you feel about getting your tenants to do that for you?
I have walked my tenants through turning off the outside tap because the weather's snuck up on me. So I had done that. I don't like relying on them to do that because if it wasn't done properly, I'm not going to go back and blame them. I'm just going to repair the costs and eat those costs. So I don't really want to be in that position. I like doing the furnace filter myself because then it forces me to get out to the property in a timely manner. So I make sure things aren't being run amok. But I mean, this is where I kind of see the value. If I get a video walkthrough, actually, I have a question for you now after this. But if I can get a PDF report or some proof that the property is being maintained well without me physically needing to be there, and I can maintain that trust, I mean, I would probably then open the door to allowing them to do more of the other maintenance if I got proof that they're doing it. So I asked for my tenants when they do the furnace filter, the few times I've asked them is, can you take a picture of the old one and take a picture of the new one side by side so I can see how dirty it is? So I need to know how often I should be asking you guys to change the filters. And more so, I want to make sure that they're actually doing it. I mean, it's nice to know that the filter is dirty or not, but how do I actually know that they didn't just say yes just to blow me off and actually popped in that new filter?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we've found is I've not relied on tenants to do that. And from your page too is a lot of landlords don't really trust their tenants to change those filters from my reading. So our system, picture the old one, picture the new one slid into the furnace. Really helps to make the landlord feel comfortable.
Yeah, totally. Chris, what's your thought on that? That's a good question. What do you trust your tenants with? Or because again, you can walk down 3 doors down and be at your rental from your house.
Sometimes, maybe I don't know if this is even the right word about micromanaging, but I need to have my hands on my property. I'm using the furnace change as a reason to go in. There's a reason I don't invest outside of my community. I want to be able to go into the house. I say, I'm going to do the furnace filter. And if they say, well, we're a bit busy, I say, okay, well, I'll come in this day then. And that just is a flag for me rather than getting a picture. What's really going on in my house? And that's what I want to know. I had a tenant, I had to come in. What was I dealing with over there? I had to deal with something. And they went down the hallway and closed the bedroom door of one of the bedrooms. And then I noticed that the handle on the door had been changed, and it was actually a key to the bedroom. So I'm going, yeah, okay, this is going to be an inspection come springtime because I need to go in there. So these little things.
So you left. Did you actually leave that on the spot, Chris? Did you approach that, or did you just kind of like took a mental note and you're gonna come back later and see
No,
what?
no, it's a mental note right now. I went in, did what I had to do, but I will give them the. I'm coming to do an inspection on the residence notice here come springtime, because there's a lot of stuff going on in that house. They pay their rent; they're good people, but you know what? You still need to know what's going on in your house.
Yeah, yeah. You need to see all of it on a timely basis for sure. Yeah, and so video inspections. Is that something you guys have given thought to with your platform, perhaps going forward on a roadmap?
Yeah, we have. The only thing is that video inspections don't hold up in court, so you can't be taking a video and then there's some damage on the wall here, and they run past in the video, and the court you say, oh, pause the video at 2 minutes 30. Just pausing the video and saying, oh, there, see the damage, that doesn't hold up in court. But if it was a picture of the damage, that holds up in court. So you really have to get every surface photographed. It's better to get a sense of the state of the property as a whole in a video, but for legality reasons, the pictures are better. So quick video with the actual pictures of the surfaces.
So we've talked about this before, Chris. I know because I've switched to using video inspections for my move inspection, my move out inspection. I also combine it with photos too. I don't really. I need to tighten up on this part. I should put together like a written PDF or something to sign off still on it. But I've mostly gone to video because one, I make sure I accidentally tape the tenants so they are actually at the inspection, so there's no hearsay about that. I remove that. And then I think the problem too is you need context around pictures or around damage, right? If that you go across that nick or that hole in the wall, is that a hole in the wall the size of a pencil, or is that a 12-inch dinner plate, or even somewhere in between? If you don't have a ruler or something that gives you an idea what that size is in that picture, the picture doesn't mean a lot. And I think that's probably the problem you're probably seeing with the videos if they're not filmed correctly. But there's so much variance with the videos. I could see how it'd be tough to form it into a process for you guys.
I got to throw this up because Marv and I have a pre-retirement link together, being policing, and he picked up, I think, on what I was saying right away. It's being, I'll use this term, situationally aware. When you go into your house, you've got to look for the little signals as to that's not normal. Why is there a lock on a door? And why is this happening? Why is that happening? You start processing these things, you start adding them up, and pretty soon 1 + 1 does equal 2. And then all of a sudden 2 + 2, yeah, it adds up to 4. So there's something going on, and you need to plan in your mind strategically when you're going to go back in and you're going to have a look at that place and see if you're going to be allowed in that room. And during the inspection, you say, please open that door. I want to see why I'm not allowed in that room. So.
Yeah. And to answer Trish's question, so the reason that we did the maintenance inspections at those times of year, so February, June, and October, was because we envisioned you still should go down in person for the reasons you just mentioned, to check out your property at least once a year, you think. And so it makes sense for it to fall in the spring, April time, in between two of the inspections. So I guess to answer for the out-of-town landlords, I guess we could look at introducing some kind of added mobile in-person inspection. Yeah.
Yeah. Christine's in Lower Mainland, BC, and she's got rentals in Lethbridge. So there is some value. Yeah, perhaps if that adds a level of complexity. But if there's a fee for a higher inspector, you guys could fold in as an upsell or something. Might be something for the folks for the landlords that are too busy. So
yeah, thanks, Trish.
Yeah.
I got a question from the page here. Megan Gardner on the page. She says, basement tenant is complaining of a gasoline smell from upstairs. No one is answering the upstairs door or phone. Can we enter for emergency purposes?
I'll take that one. Absolutely. If there's smell of gasoline or there's the understanding that there's damages being happened to the property, you can enter without 24-hour notice. make sure you've got your ducks in order and have some documentation, some text, some written information, and you've made reasonable attempts to get a hold of that tenant upstairs to enter before entering. But if you can't get a hold of them and there's reason to think that that unit's being damaged, you can enter.
Well, even if it's not being damaged, that gasoline smell is.
Well, it's a danger. It's a threat, right? It's
Yeah. Is there somebody's going to light a smoke up, or it's going to hit a pilot light? What's going to happen, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, something I just thought of too, Chris. If you're still grabbing another question here, someone asked about how we manage utilities on suite of properties, and they're asking about. I got messaged. I can't remember. Someone asked me somewhere in the last week about utilities, and I currently have them on a separate agreement. Chris, how do you manage yours? Does your tenants pay, or do you just pay them?
Oh, I pay them.
You pay them. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, is it folded into your lease as a flat rate on your main lease, or do you have a separate addendum or a separate utility contract to
No,
manage the
I
costs?
mine's all folded in. I'll go back and look over the last year and see what the usage was. Kind of try to figure it out from there and come up with a little bit of a, 10 or 20% or maybe 30% markup, just in case there's some overusage. If there isn't, then that just goes right to general revenue. If there is, then my costs are covered, right? And then I have to reevaluate it going forward for the next lease. I have a girl right now who was high on the utilities. They're running one of those little air conditioners where you cut a hole you put a board in the window with a pipe out there, and the thing it's just a standalone in the room, and it ran 24/7 trying to cool a whole house down. They're only made for a room, and my electricity bill was through the roof in June and July, so in August. So I informed her in the new contract that she's running an air conditioner. It's going to cost her an extra $50 a month on her new lease. So it's just funny. She talked to me tonight and she said, well, do you think if I work something out and got someone really good that installs air conditioners, could you actually put an air conditioner in the house this year? So anyway, she's thinking, good for her.
Don't ask, you don't get.
Good luck.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Small town here. Sometimes that works to my advantage. So if I can find something that's a good deal, maybe it's worth it. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, then that's another amenity you can sell, right? AC property. So
Yeah.
yeah, I manage mine separately on a separate utility contract. So pros is I will give my tenants a 30 to 60 day notice if I'm adjusting the utilities if they're not managing them well, and hopefully that creates a desire on the tenant's behalf to not leave the lights on and form some responsible habits. The con side, the way I'm set up, is my utilities are not part of my lease, therefore they're not governed under the RTA. Therefore, I might be at a disadvantage if I wanted to go and file with RTDRS if I don't have utilities on my lease. Maybe they would look at my utility agreement, or maybe you've pulled it out separately and you're managing it separately. It's not part of our legislation. So I don't know. I haven't crossed that path, but something to think about. So cool. Well, we should probably wrap her up. I think this was fantastic. Gentlemen, we really appreciate you spending an hour of your evening with us tonight and kind of sharing the program and the stuff that you guys have built. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to kind of be one of your guys' guinea pigs, and I'll test out and happily report back to the community in 5 or 6 months and let me know how I'm finding it. So.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Thank you very much, MacKenzie and Chris. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for meeting you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolute pleasure.
Well, Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I'm going to ask one more question because we got 6 minutes to go. So I like pulling questions off the page because people go and watch our show afterwards. We get 200 hits on our show later on after it's done. So not everybody's available. It says, one of the questions here is regarding the sale of a rental property tied to a 2-year fixed term tenancy. They are great tenants. My property manager has signed a 2-year term with these tenants. This 2021 summer ending. Signed in 21 summer, ending in summer of 2023.
Holy smokes! I hope they have rent increases embedded into the pricing because rents are going up.
No kidding. It says, however, it's been a property we've been interested in selling, and due to the circumstances, it's time to sell. What is the best way to go about potentially selling it to a private buyer or selling it to on an MLS, having all the property parties happy.
Well, there's two different plays here. So it depends on the type of lease. AKA, is it fixed or is it month to month? If
No,
it's
it's
fixed, it's fixed. You're selling it with those tenants in place. If you can make that work and the tenants are cooperative and they allow the viewings, they keep the property clean, power to you. Do it if you've got that relationship. If that relationship's not there and the tenants might have pushback or they don't want you to sell for whatever reason or motivation, you're almost better just to wait for that fixed term to end and then sell an empty property, because then you can really just properly sell it on the MLS. But the flip side, if you got great tenants, they're paying rent, you got them locked in, and the rate's decent, it might be an advantage to sell it to another investor person that makes sense for the portfolio.
Yeah. You guys had any dealings with people where properties want to be sold? And
No, not yet. No, but it sounds like MacKenzie nailed it.
Yeah, as you can tell, we were very fortunate in every aspect so far. Evidently,
I love it, man. It's okay though. It's good.
my
Variety
quick
of
take-
opinions and
my
hairstyles.
quick take on this from a business perspective is you got to make it interesting for them and financially beneficial to them. If you want them out of that lease, and because you're stuck and whoever buys it's stuck with it. So what you got to do is keys for cash.
Mhm.
You know what?
Yeah.
You say, look, you get to stay the month free, and maybe I'll give you a half a month's. I'll give you 1 month free and half a month's cash for you to move. So all of a sudden they're getting a month and a half worth of free to help them move, or maybe you got to go 2 months.
Yeah, it
but
might
you
cost
don't.
you $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. You're selling your house. Obviously, you're selling a house because it's a premium time, and that's going to be an expense to your business. But you know, getting them out's important, because most buyers will want an empty house if they're going to move into it. Obviously, they don't want to wait till 23 to do it.
Yeah,
So,
it depends on that demographic they're appealing to. But
Yep.
you're bang on, Chris. You raised a good point in the fact that, it's an agreement that both parties can mutually end. So if you prevent them an offer they're going to take, i.e., cash or keys, and they're motivated, they might take it. Then you're ahead. And then maybe selling right now with the way the prices are going, and the supply is so tight right now. I'm hearing everywhere there's multiple bids going on. So.
Yeah. You know, and there's other ways to do it. You want to break the lease, and you think you're going to get a chance to sell, tell them you'll drop their rent. Make it something that's worth their time. Drop their rent, $300-400, and sign and say, yeah, let's sign a new lease. Give them a 3-month lease. So that's 90
matched up
days.
to your possession date. If you get, you know, if you have a possession date 60 days out, make it a win-win for everyone. Tenants get some cheap rent while they're looking for a new place, and they can get a damage deposit saved up, and there you go.
Don't be
You know,
stuck.
I know a great new Facebook group. I would just post it in there and then host an auction on it.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, don't get stuck in your own short-sightedness. Put some ideas up there, or try to bounce it off them, and just try to be creative and what's going to work for you, and what's going to be really exciting for that tenant. Say, man, we can make $3,000 here if we move. Okay, and obviously, again, you're selling it, and what are you making off it? It's $3,000. It's the cost of doing this business to get your house sold.
Yeah, creativity. Anything's negotiable, right? Let's just go back to that one comment, and we'll wrap it up here. Christine wrote, this is a great way for tenants in the same building. So if you've got some landlords that have, and I know Christine, again, she's a remote manager because she's in BC. Her properties are down in Lethbridge. Yeah, it's kind of a neat product for someone like that. So cool.
Well,
Let's end her. Let's sign her off. Thanks
Thanks
guys.
very much.
You're
Pleasure.
very welcome. Stick
Mike and
around
Scott,
after
just
the,
stick around in the back because we'll
Yeah.
come back on and talk behind the show. And as for that, everybody else, thank you for joining us tonight. Max, send us home.
Thanks for the comments.
Yeah, thanks.